Hi everyone, it's Tara Bianca with Be Light Transformative Therapy, and today I want to talk a bit about the difference between functional breathing for daily life and what I've been referring to recently as breath theater or performative breath work. And I want to ask the question, does breath work need to be big, dramatic, orgasmic, theatrical in order to be effective? Or can it be quiet and subtle? Personal, almost imperceptible. You guys know that I have a history of teaching breathwork across the spectrum. So from the most spiritually oriented, more focused on somato-emotional release and trauma release, to the more clinical types of breathwork and the more evidence-based practices. And there's definitely a time and a place for all of these techniques and all of these practices. Although, and forgive me for always repeating this, there are certain techniques that are outright not appropriate for certain individuals. I said it. But what I see happening a lot these days is that consumers seem to be getting really drawn into these super sexy looking techniques. So people lying on a mat, hyperventilating for an hour or more, moaning, vibrating, screaming, sweating profusely, and then plunging into freezing cold water, only to re-emerge like total deities, completely transformed. And I've done it, by the way, several times. So don't think that I'm trying to remove myself from the equation or be hypocritical or judgmental here. I'm sort of collectively poking fun at all of us, and more so really trying to understand the psychology around this. And our collective appeal towards these specific techniques makes me wonder two things. Number one, these sexy, dramatic practices are always extreme on top of extreme on top of extreme. And I really get the hormetic stress thing for sure, but part of me kind of wonders, is this really what modern human beings require in order to just feel something, in order to function in our daily lives? And then the second thing that I wonder is, do these more emotional release driven practices even translate that well into daily functionality? Or are they sort of transient experiences that offer kind of fleeting results? Unfortunately, I just see a lot of people flocking to these sort of extreme techniques and putting all of their faith into them, hoping that they'll be effective in solving their particular problems. And that's okay, but usually what I see coupled with this is that those same people are not thinking about, for example, their breathing for the rest of their day away from those specific practices. Or they've never considered how maybe an underlying dysfunctional breathing pattern might be negatively impacting and contributing to some of the symptoms that they're experiencing. Or even worse, maybe they have never taken into consideration all of the other things that they are not effectively managing in their lives that breathwork won't solve at all. So there's this tendency to see some new, exciting thing and say, ooh, I need that. Not just with breath work, but with everything in the health and wellness and fitness industry. And again, I'm just as susceptible as being guilty to the marketing, by the way. I'm not just a practitioner, but I'm also a consumer just like you. And it is very easy to be led to believe that we really need this thing that is being sold to us. My concern here is that this type of reaction of seeing some new, trendy, sexy product or service and immediately having that response of, I need that, to me feels a little bit like us giving away our power, our self-reliance, our self-responsibility. I fear that it sort of keeps us stuck in this cycle of always thinking that we need to be healed, and then even worse, it keeps us stuck in always thinking we need to outsource that healing process to whichever guru is trending in the moment. I've been thinking about this a lot because I see this trend happening amongst my students, amongst my clients, amongst my followers, amongst my subscribers, and just in being on social media and noticing what people are really drawn to. And so my question is, why is this inherently more appealing and desirable than, say, something like this. Is the perception that because you can see something happening in that first version, that it must be more effective? Because it's bigger and obvious, it must work, right? Or do these more elaborate, dramatic strategies simply appeal to some deep-seated inner desire to simply express ourselves? Again, to just feel something, to break up that sort of monotony and numbness that so many of us have trapped ourselves in. This is a genuine question, by the way, because this is definitely where the breathwork market is the strongest, with these sort of ecstatic, emotional release, breathing experiences. Why do we find it easier and more appealing to sort of grab a hold of these transient healing fads that pass through our society, rather than really taking the responsibility to focus back in on the basics and the fundamentals that help us to generate a lasting sense of health and overall well-being? It's fine, by the way, if you want to experience some big emotional catharsis or you genuinely need help processing your trauma, then by all means seek out whatever tools and services that you need. But the question becomes, when you're not doing your trauma release work, and you're not doing your emotional release work, how are you spending the remaining 23 hours of your day? What choices are you making to keep yourself on that path moving toward optimal health? Are you making choices that are aligned with that path? And when I say you here, I mean you, me, we, everyone. Are you making choices that translate well into improving daily function? Or are you totally reliant on this kind of trendy technique to solve all of your problems, and in the process, releasing yourself of responsibility for controlling the outcome? And then my more overarching question is, where does it end? Like, how many times do I have to hyperventilate? Or how many times do I have to drink this ayahuasca, for example, before I can consider myself healed? Before I can truly believe that I don't need any more fixing? At what point do we have the breakthroughs and finally say, I'm okay. I'm not perfect, but I'm enough. I feel complete. I'm not broken. I can work with what I've got. I'm good. Having said that, I also absolutely wholeheartedly believe in continual self-growth and development. I think it's awesome to really have the desire to want to continue to learn and grow and expand. But I know that I have been guilty of this in the past, and I have seen far too many of my friends and colleagues kind of jump onto that healing train and then just never get off of it. Right? We keep taking that train from one stop to the next, one technique to the next, always with this idea of, oh, this is going to be the thing that finally heals me. I have a friend who was so focused on her spiritual enlightenment for so many years, and she was doing all of the things, all the rituals, all the practices. And then one day she just woke up and said, what is the point of trying to ascend to this higher spiritual state when I don't even know how to make an egg in the morning? Meaning she was so focused, putting so much time and energy into trying to understand her spiritual essence that she had completely neglected the basics and the fundamentals of still having to exist in and walk around in this very physical vessel and interact with this at least seemingly physical world. So I think we definitely have an imbalance in our culture where very few of us know how to effectively navigate all aspects of the human experience in a balanced way, as opposed to just focusing solely on one aspect to the detriment of all the others. So perhaps this attraction to the extreme is a sort of overcompensation or an attempt at a recalibration for having spent too much of life either complacent or passive or just not fully engaged. I know I've asked a lot of questions throughout this sort of diatribe that I'm on today, but I wanted to close with this one final question, which is, why are simple techniques that require zero equipment, that are very quiet and subtle and internal and personalized and not showy and not sexy, why are those not desirable? These techniques that we can take anywhere and practice anywhere and no one else even knows that we're doing them, why are those not appealing to people? Do we believe they don't work? Do we believe that nothing so simple could be so effective? Or are we terrified to consider that something so simple could be so effective? Are we terrified to potentially confront the idea that we've been in control the entire time? That it's been our responsibility the entire time? That we can't outsource our healing to someone else? As always, I'd love your thoughts on this topic. Do you see yourself more as someone who jumps from one shiny object to the next, always looking for answers externally? Or do you feel you're someone who truly tries to take on functional practices that allow you to feel empowered and in control, and that really last you a whole lifetime? Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If this idea really appeals to you of really understanding functional breathing, of really understanding what is going on inside of your own body, and of feeling empowered to use your breath in various ways in order to perfectly match your daily activities and improve functionality, then please make sure you check out the new and improved version of my 4-week breath bootcamp, which I'm offering for the first time as a self-paced online breathing experience, which will also be integrated into my private community so that you can reach out and accept as much support as you feel that you need. It's launching on Wednesday, September 14th, and I'm offering it at an enormous discount, over 40% off. So if this is interesting to you, please make sure you take advantage of that special offer. And then for all other breathing links and resources, please make sure you check out the comment, which I have pinned to the top of the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.